Maaliwalas na araw sa inyong lahat. In English, a bright, a bit cozy, fresh, and happy day. I am Sonia Mendoza, a registered guidance counselor and a certified counseling psychologist. I am the immediate past president of the Career Development Association of the Philippines, or CDA. I am still in the board, and together with my colleagues, we are serving the schools, some agencies of government, industry, and non-government organizations. Today, I am with our presenter, my co-host, Richard Monteverde. He is the Operations and Programs Head of the Servicio Services Incorporated, and he is a senior lecturer at UP College of Education. He is also a fellow board member of SIDA. He's going to present to you a very relevant topic, which is not usually being discussed, and this is positive psychology. It is a scientific study on happiness. We are trapped in a sudden, unexpected disruptions of this pandemic. It is as if we are like in a giant universal prison cells and we all wanted to be released. Soon, we never can tell, but only God knows. And we need to believe in that. It can pass. And so today we're going to present to you a topic that may be helpful, that we may be able to find meaning. So let me present to you Richard Monteverde, soon to become a doctor of philosophy in psychology. Richard, maaliwalas na araw. How do you relate with this greeting?
Well, I can really relate with that. It's rise and shine morning. It's a rise and shine day to everybody. And I can relate with the maaliwalas na araw because our topic for today is about positivity. It's about positive psychology and how we can apply it in our everyday life. And at the same time, how each individual can be helped by positive psychology in order for them to cope with the normal stresses of life now that we are here in the pandemic. And I really hope that our viewers for today would really enjoy our topic for today because it's about us and it's about our resiliency. It's about how we become committed on how we can cope with everything, with the negative circumstances that happen to us.
So we'll be talking about a very important topic because just like what I've said a while ago, it's about you and positive psychology. So positive psychology, we always associate it with the good things, with the things that we can tell to ourselves whenever we experience some negative circumstances or transgressions, like maging positibo lang tayo, tingnan lang natin yung mga opportunities. But in the studies done by Seligman and his colleagues, it's really about flourishing. And it's also about balance between the negative circumstances and the positive circumstances that we have in our lives. And just like what I've said, it's about flourishing. It's about well-being. So it's about you. So what about flourishing? So before we go into the implications of positive psychology in our lives, maybe we need to first define what positive psychology is and at the same time what flourishing is. Positive psychology is really a study of happiness, a scientific study of happiness and a scientific study of well-being. And with the studies done by Seligman and his colleagues, they've coined the term flourishing. So it's about how the individual achieves a desired state, experiencing positive emotions, positive psychological functioning, having ability within an optimal range, reflecting about our well being, experiencing a continuum. So, for short, it's about happiness. And when we talk about happiness, it's about positive mental health. So, positive psychology is about positive mental health. What builds flourishing or what builds positive psychology? There are actually five. So, today we'll be talking about five, or what much as we call the PERMA. So, PERMA stands for positive emotions, how we feel good about engagement, how we use our activities to become absorbed and feel what we call the flow. So, and at the same time, relationships, how we become authentically connected with others. Since we are now in the pandemic, there's social distancing. So, we need to have that kind of authentic connection still, even though there are limitations. There are a lot of things that we can do to do that. And we also have meaning, or having a purposeful existence. So, again, positive psychology and me, positive psychology and you, accepting who you really are and applying yourselves in your own life without pretenses. It's about meaning. And another is about achievement, celebrating a sense of accomplishment and success. And according to the studies, flourishing or the positive psychology is a result of the interaction and experience of the PERMA. So, meaning to say, it's not a be all end all. It's an integration of these things. So, for short, today we'll be talking about how we can apply these in practical sense so that after this session, you'll continue to have a flourishing day or a maaliwalas na araw. Okay. So what are the benefits of flourishing? Why do we need to talk about positive psychology? A lot of studies have pointed out some things or advantages of positive psychology to our life, like better work and in school, better at work and in school, reduced risk of dropping out in school, better career prospects, stronger immune systems, and physical health. Now, we're talking about COVID. So, if we want to increase our ability, our immune system, we need to integrate the PERMA in our lives. And those who believe in positive psychology live longer, fewer sleep problems, lower levels of brownout, greater self control, and better self regulation and coping abilities. Now, we'll go now to the actual meat of our discussion, which is about the PERMA. So, we tackle first positive emotions. So just like what I've said, positive emotions, it's about feeling of contentment and joy, and it goes beyond and involves acceptance of the past regardless of how bad it was. Maybe you are talking right now that positive emotions. So how can I have positive emotions if I really feel sad or if I really feel angry? Actually, that's the thing there. In positive emotions, we need to be in touch with our emotions. We don't need to shrug them off. We don't need to just let them go. Sometimes we need to grieve. We need to feel the intensity of our emotions in order for us to really appreciate the positive ones. So, because once we have been intact with our own emotions, we start to stimulate our dopamine and serotonin. It means that the neurotransmitters, the happy hormones, promote a sense of contentment. So how do we do positive emotions? Very simple. So it's a maaliawalas na umaga. We start with gratitude exercises. 5 things that you're thankful for. Pagising sa umaga, ano yung 5 bagay na thankful ka? And what are the things that you feel important for you today? So it's setting the tone of your day, being able to see your blessings, and it means something. It starts to stimulate your positive emotions because you're seeing the brighter side of things. Even though you would feel negative emotions, you feel angry, you feel bad about what happened yesterday, but still, it's another day. It's an opportunity for you to see the things that have been good in your life. Another is about cognitive reframing. So it's about recalibrating our expectations about happiness. Maybe our happiness right now is different from the nakasanayan or the thing that we really believe before the pandemic. Maybe it's high time for us to recalibrate what we think about happiness. And it would start to stimulate our positive emotions. Another another thing that we need to also talk about is allotting time for wallowing. So just like what I've said a while ago, it's also good that we become in touch with our emotions, naming our emotions. If we really we feel bad, we feel bad. If we are really angry, we feel angry. If we want to cry, then we cry. We allot time to do those things. Why? Because it's part of our humanity. It's part of being in you. It's part of being intact with your own self. Because once you have been intact with your own self, you'll have a better mastery on how you can cope with the negative situation. Another in the PERMA is what we call the engagement. Now, my question for all the viewers right now is that when was the last time that you did that enjoyable thing that you really, really, really want to do? So, when was the last time? Because engagement is about being in the present, the need to be absorbed in the current moment, having a blissful flow. Um, and engagement stretches our intelligence, our skills, and emotional capabilities. It helps us, again, to be intact with our own selves. So, how to do engagement? Doing what you really love to do. Playing musical instruments, drawing, painting, cooking, writing, volunteering, and so much more. Allotting time to do what you really, really like to do. I've asked about what's that one thing that you've enjoyed doing before and you haven't done it so far again. No, now that we are in the pandemic, now we're very much focused on maybe you're working at home or maybe you're doing anything to make ends meet and so on and so forth, or taking care of your family members. But the point here in engagement is to have time for us to experience that flow, finding another activity where you can apply your talents and skills, deciding on what makes you involved, finding that flow in whatever you are doing. So have you experienced that flow? Chicks and Miyari coined this term about the time where we feel good, okay, doing what we really want, and we don't really notice the time passing by, or we don't notice that we are really doing this for already for hours. So that's kind of engagement. So when was the last time that you felt that? And then we also talk about the relationship. So relationship is about thriving on connections, promoting intimacy, having strong relationships that provide support in difficult times, that require resilience. Okay, and it's also about reconnecting or rekindling uh, relationships, rekindling relationships, meaningful relationships. So how do we do this? Now that we are in the pandemic, it's also important to have social connection because according to studies, connection would help us in the process of resiliency. So it helps us to gain coping skills for us to be able to withstand the negative circumstances. So how to do it? First is to reconnect with old friends. Okay, we spend quality time with people we love. We cut ties from life-threatening ones or connections. We communicate our love language, our motivations, because most of the time we really don't communicate how we want to be treated, or our love language to our loved ones. So that's why we keep on having games and scripts that decrease our sense of love and belongingness. So my point here is to stop those games and scripts, and at the same time, we become in touch with our social aspects of our lives. So that's relationship. And then another one is about meaning. So, meaning is about having a sense of purpose, a sense of direction. So, right now that we are uncertain, it's very important that we also have a personal narrative of mattering. Okay. And feeling life is valuable and worth living, having a sense of direction where life is going. So, how do we have meaning in life? One is to reframe our thoughts about adversities now that we are experiencing adversity. So, how do we do that? We try to reframe them. We try to check on the deeper implications of our experiences. So, what does the experience is telling me or teaching me? It's also about setting up realistic expectations and outcomes, balancing our micro and macro perspective. When a person experiences negative circumstances, the the automatic reaction would be to become micro, meaning to say we're very much detailed why it happened, than focusing on the macro one, where we focus on what is this experience teaching me, something like that. So meaning to say, in order for us to have that kind of meaning, we have to balance the micro and macro perspective. We also find meaning because it is not automatic. So it's the sense of our being. If we don't have meaning, we don't have reason to live. And it's very important now that we are experiencing a collective negative circumstance. It's really important to have meaning and to find it. Because once we have found it, it gives a sense of direction in our lives. And it's also becoming more open to alternative careers, that integrate our new meanings and values, especially when we talk about a lot of people who lost jobs, who who were not able to provide for their family. So where is the meaning right then and there? So it means also that we need to try to see what alternative careers that I can delve into so that I can survive in this pandemic. What talents and skills do I need to recalibrate or integrate in my life, which would become another sense of direction for a person. So meaning is very important because it serves as our gas, for us to really continue living. And last but not the least is, sorry, second to the last, we also have accomplishment. So having goals and achievement, and ambition in life, and having a sense of mastery, working toward reaching our goals, sense of completion, and it's about subjective meaning of the person about calibrating or celebrating accomplishment. So how do we do it? Well, accomplishment is about savoring the moment of achievement or savoring that internal sense of happiness. So imagine that you have achieved something, or maybe we can recall the time that we have achieved something big for ourselves, and we see people are happy for us, for our achievement. But then again, the more important thing is that if you really enjoyed that accomplishment. So the point here is that we also give time for us to have that sense of internal happiness. Going back to positive emotions, it is good that we become in touch with our negative emotions, but it's also good that we we become in touch with the positive ones. So it means to say that we are being intact with our own experience. So, when was the last time that you have celebrated your achievements with just finishing or accomplishing things for the day, or um, closing a project while in the pandemic, or maybe you have um, you have done something good for the family even though it's small. So it's good, it's worth celebrating. So how do you do that? Eat that ice cream, sleep, watch that movie, do what you want to do, allow yourselves to feel that internal happiness. It's also good that we set realistic goals without infringing the rights on others, having a routine and injecting gradual changes, and at the same time creating a new career narrative while and from appreciating your successes so far. So that's accomplishment. And last but not the least is about health. Health is about having a subjective sense of health. It's about vitality, feeling good and healthy each day. And it's all about taking care of our body and listening to it. So how do we do that? Every day we do body scanning exercise. We eat and sleep on the right time. We give ourselves time to rest. Rest and sleeping are two different things. We also do moderating activities and we make sure that we are in our optimum level of performance every day. So that's how we apply health in our lives. So in general, that's the PERMA, PERMAH. So P stands for positive emotions, E for engagement, R for relationships, A for accomplishment, M for meaning, and H for health. So what now? My challenge for all the viewers right now is to really practice PERMA. You try it to integrate in your self-care exercises. You influence people to do the same and contextualize the practices in your own little way. So what is that one thing that you can do after this session? You know, since we're uh, in the maaliwalas na umaga. So
Yeah.
try to
So
think
you're
about
saying, Chard, you're saying,
five
excuse me,
things.
you're saying something like, for our application.
Yes, yes. So yeah, I'm talking about what the next steps that they can do, no, for them to be able to apply the perma in their own lives. So again, you go back to the gratitude. We go back to appreciating five things that we're thankful for and take it from there. So with that, thank you very much. No?
Thank you very much, Richard, for a very good presentation. It is clear, it is comprehensive, practical, or doable, and it has so much insights. So we only need to take a look on ourselves. We reflect on what we are doing daily. We know that in this world today, there's no way to go. But of course, with deep faith, we know these things will pass. But there are things that we have to consider. Your presentation is very good. Your PERMA, it will help us if we can only use daily. So we do not have much time to discuss further. After all, I believe you have discussed it fully well and you have given us examples. So let me just think of what other ways we can do it. Some of us are already applying it in our lives daily. We believe with what Martin Seligman, who is the designer of this model, that this kind of way of thinking will help us become more a positive thinker rather than dealing with negative. As Richard presented, we know that PERMA or positive psychology would take us in a very far place where we believe we can be happier. As what Peterson 2008 said, this kind of thinking will help us live life most worth living. And so before we close, let me tell you some of the things that my clients are also using. I would like to reinforce what Richard said and what Martin Seligman and his colleagues said about gratitude. It is something that makes us fly, something that makes our heads up above the water by using this kind of thinking, this scientific way of attaining happiness. It focuses more on human practices, human strengths, and virtues. Now, some of these are the gratitude that has a lot of benefits. In the scientific studies, a lot would say it can open door with more relationships, it can enhance empathy, and can reduce aggression. It can help us enhance self-worth. It can also give us some enthusiasm to live life. It can also give us peace of mind and we can sleep well. So some of these are, maybe when we wake up in the morning, visualize our success. And then we go out, maybe in our yard, or if we do not have yard, maybe just outside, try to feel the breeze of the air, experience the wonder of nature. Then we can also somehow take a look on ourselves, maybe self-compassion. It's self-hug. It is something that can release us from the thinking that sometimes we make mistakes. We snap at others, but we are only human beings who can also commit mistakes once in a while. Then we smile more open. And then we try to cultivate the spirit of generosity. When we are aware of what gifts we have, the talents, a lot of things, abundant things that have been showered on us, then we can only share it with others. And then, humor is very important. The Filipinos are really fond of laughing. Sometimes even with little jokes, we laugh at each other. And then that makes us happy somehow and forgetting what's making us very challenging today. And finally, the most important and most powerful is that Filipinos are really very prayerful people. So we never forget that. Anywhere we are, anytime we think of what are we going through, I know we stop and pause and we pray. So before I end, let me tell the viewers that for the other episodes, we're going to share more something about learning ourselves in a deeper way, something that can help us also deal with people in a more effective way, especially to our loved ones, to our relatives, friends, and in our surrounding, in our maybe in the office and in the workplace. So we shall prepare more topics that can help us cope with the challenges today. And so with this, I am very grateful to thank Richard Monteverde, who presented the very good topic now, where we believe we can swim gracefully. So thank you for listening. Maaliwalas na araw sa inyong lahat. See you next time. Bye!